Now, if you think back to our earlier section on transformations of graphs, where we would see a common graph and then we would have, for example, a horizontal or a vertical shift in our graph, that's going to come up again in this section. So looking at number 8, we have the equation x minus 2 squared plus y squared equals 4. So suppose I was just looking at this just out of nowhere. Someone said, hey, tell me about this equation. The fact that I have an x squared and a y squared, I know that I have a circle. I know that I have an equation for a circle. Now, for this circle specifically, we've seen examples before that were centered at 0, 0. Now for this circle, where it says x minus 2 squared, remember that when the constant was inside the parentheses with our x, that would create a horizontal shift. And remember, it was kind of the opposite of what we might initially think. So x minus 2 actually shifts us to the right 2. So the center for this circle is actually at 2, 0, shifted to the right 2 from the origin, right? So here's my origin, shifted to the right 2. And the radius, if I go from the center to the edge of the circle, going from 2 to 4, for example, gives me a radius of 2. Or going from 2 to 0 also gives me a radius of 2. So my radius equals 2. Center of 2, 0, my radius equals 2. So the equation for this circle, x minus 2 squared plus y squared equals 4. So the x-coordinate is 2, the y-coordinate is 0. Positive 2, so it's going to be the opposite sign from what I see in parentheses. X minus 2 squared gives me a positive 2x coordinate for the center. Y squared, there's no adjustment, so the y coordinate is still 0. And then it says equals 4 over here, so that's r squared, right? If r squared equals 4, that means my radius has to be the square root of 4, which is 2. And of course, I picked the positive radius because it's a distance, even though when I take the square root of both sides, technically it's plus or minus. I'm picking the positive square root of 4, which is positive 2, because the radius represents a distance. Okay, looking at number 9, now we have x squared plus, and then in parentheses, y plus 2 squared equals 4. So again, this y plus 2 squared, similar to what happened above with the x minus 2 squared, that y plus 2 squared creates a shift down 2. So now we have a constant inside the parentheses with our y. That's going to create a vertical shift, and because it's y plus 2 inside parentheses, instead of going up 2, it's actually going to create a shift down 2. Now before we saw examples like maybe we had a parabola, y squared equals x, or sorry, not y squared, still in circle mode. So maybe we had a parabola where we had y equals x squared plus 2, and that would create a shift up 2. But that was when our constant was just tacked onto the end of our function. Now, because we have y in parentheses with the 2, with the plus 2, it's behaving kind of like those horizontal shifts used to back in our transformation section. So y plus 2 squared produces a shift down 2 rather than up 2. All right, so our center, 0 for x, and then y plus 2 squared, opposite sign, negative 2 for y. And we can see this on the graph, 0, negative 2. And our radius going any direction from the center to the edge of the circle. Here, this gives me a radius of 2, once again. So if my radius equals 2, that means r squared is 2 squared, which is 4. The 4 is what appears in that equation. All right, for number 10, equation x minus 2 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 4. Just looking at the equation instead of the graph, let's just look at the equation. X minus 2 squared, center is going to be at positive 2 for x. Y plus 2 squared, we'll have negative 2 for y. And then if 4 is r squared, that means r will equal the square root of 4, which is 2. And let's just check it now in the graph. 2, -2 is the center. And I can see that the radius in any direction equals 2. All right, so number 11, x minus 4 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 4. This is centered at positive 4 for x and then -1 for y. So opposite sign, opposite sign. And then my equation says equals 4, so that means r squared equals 4. So just the radius will be the square root of 4, which is, again, 2. The shift, if I were to graph this from the origin, so shifting to a center of 4, -1, I'd have to go to the right 4, and then I'd have to go down 1. And number 12, x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 4. Center at -3, positive 2. The radius again, if r squared equals 4, then my radius equals the square root of 4, which is again 2. To shift to the center of -3, 2, I would have to go to the left 3 to get to -3 for my x, and then up 2 to get to positive 2 for my y. All right, so looking at number 13, given the circle below, find the following. And you can do this in any order you want. Sometimes I like to identify the center and the radius first and then work from there. So visually, I can see that my center is at -2, 0. And then my radius, if I go to the right, for example, 1, 2, 3. I have a radius of 3 in any direction. The shift from the center of 0, 0, I would have to go to the left 2 to get to this new center. And my equation, since I have -2 for my x value, I'm going to have x plus 2 squared, opposite sign, plus in the middle. Oops, and then I don't need parentheses there because my y isn't shifted, so just plain old y squared equals r squared, which would be 3 squared, which would be 9. So my equation of that circle on the graph, x plus 2 squared plus y squared equals 9. Number 14, given the circle below, find the following. So again, I personally like to start with the center. You can begin wherever you want though. So visually I can see the center is at -4, 3 with a radius of 1. The shift to get to this new center, I would go to the left 4 and then up 3. And the equation, so -4 for x, -4 for x, means I have x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals, and then r squared would be 1 squared, which is just 1. So that's my equation of my circle. All right, so standard form of the equation of the circle, what we've just been working with, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. This circle would be centered at hk with a radius of r. So keeping that in mind, let's look at 15, 16, 17, and 18. So in all of these, we have a radius of 5. And then just the center changes, so just the sign of the center changes. So I'm going to kind of write the skeleton here. So all of these are going to be equal to 25, which is 5 squared. All right, so for number 15, it says radius of 5, center of 2, 5, write the equation of the circle. This will be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 25. Number 16, Center is negative 2, 5. So the equation will be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 25. Number 17, center of 2, negative 5. So equation is x minus 2 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 25. And then number 18, negative 2, negative 5 center. So I'll have x plus 2 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 25.